9 of them were German nationals. 15 more people were injured, at least. This in the historic Sultan Ahmed district. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says a suicide bomber of Syrian origin was responsible. There's been no claim of responsibility yet, but the Prime Minister said a short while ago that the attack was the work of the Islamic State group. Turkey is part of the US-led coalition against the Sunni extremists in Syria and Iraq. It's also battling Kurdish militants in the southeast of the country. Let's go now to Istanbul and speak to our correspondent Jasper Mortimer. Jasper, at least 9 of the dead German nationals. What about the injured?
We don't know that yet. There was a German tour group in the vicinity of the Blue Mosque. I think you can see its minarets behind me here. And the bomb went off just outside the Blue Mosque at the foot of the Egyptian obelisk. Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu has called German Chancellor Angela Merkel to convey his condolences for the dead, and he said that Germany will receive a full report of the investigation into the bombing.
Jasper, what more can you tell us about the bomber? Earlier we had the president saying that he was of Syrian origin, but now the Prime Minister says the bomber is thought to be, he said, just a foreign member of the Islamic State group, but he didn't specify which nationality.
Yes, all right. Well, different members of the government are receiving different information. It's also said that the suicide bomber would have turned 28 this year. It does seem to be the work of the Islamic State, which is what Prime Minister Davutoglu was saying just now. Islamic State killed 140 people, including their own suicide operatives, in 3 separate bombings in the last 7 months of last year. And what distinguishes today's bombing from those bombings is that in the earlier bombings, the targets were Kurds and Turks. Today, the bomber clearly chose tourists, and he was clearly trying to hit the Turkish tourism industry as a way of getting back to Turkey for that. And the tourist industry has been doing very badly already. Last year, the government opened state schools 2 weeks late in September to give the tourist industry more time to recover after a poor year. And a taxi driver who drove me here from Istanbul airport this afternoon said, you know, after today's bombing, tourism in Istanbul is finished.
Have you had a chance to speak to other people in the area, some tourists perhaps, or residents, about how they're feeling in the wake of this attack?
No, I've arrived too soon for that. But in walking past the many tourist shops and restaurants around this square, I saw that they were all empty, and their owners were sitting by the front doors with very long faces indeed. You see, the previous attacks, Islamic State of last year, when they detonated a bomb in Diyarbakir in June, in the Syrian border town of Suruç in July, and then outside Ankara station in October, then they were always killing Kurds and Turks. And it's thought that Islamic State was getting back at Turkish Kurds for the success of Syrian Kurds in fighting against Islamic State in Syria, and also getting back at Turkey for its support of the Western coalition fighting Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. Notably, Turkey has allowed the US Air Force to take off from some of its bases in southeastern Turkey. But yesterday's bombing was clearly aimed at foreigners. And this will, deal a heavy blow against tourists coming to Turkey in the near future.